And what goes in a croissant dough? Well, let's have a look. So we start off with baker's flour. Baker's flour is important because we need the protein structure within our flour. Flour has 5 proteins. It has gliadine, glutenin, globulin, albumin and protease. Gliadine and glutenin chemically bond together in the presence of water to form gluten. This is what gives our dough the ability to stretch and hold its shape. So 11.5% protein to 12.5% depending on which flour you can get. Our second ingredient is sugar. This is what gives us our sweetness but also aids to our colouring of our final product. We've also got salt. Salt will give us yeast control. It will also give us crust colour in the final product, very important thing to have in our dough. And we have dry yeast. Now I use a osmotolerant yeast. This is a yeast that is designed for sweet-based products. The other product that I have in the dough, in the base dough, is just a little bit of butter. This butter gives you flexibility and helps you roll out your dough and gives you the ability to fold it nicely. The other secret ingredient I have in mine is deactivated yeast. Deactivated yeast is dead yeast cells. What this does is it doesn't give you any fermentation, but it gives you beautiful flexibility in your dough. You can stretch this dough and get beautiful laminations without giving it long rests in between each fold. The other ingredients we're using is milk. Okay, this enriches the product. It also contains a sugar that is unfermentable to yeast. So the lactose within my milk stays in my product until it hits the oven, and that gives you that rich golden brown colour from the caramelisation of the lactose. Also using water as well, just to combine our ingredients. The other thing I do to my croissant dough is I add a small portion, 10% of old scrap dough. So this is dough that's been rolled out and shaped into croissants, and all the scrap bits that I cut off the ends I keep, and then I mix back into the dough to give you a better flavour. This acts like a pre-ferment. So let's get mixing. So placing all of our ingredients into the mixing bowl. And we're going to give it 5 minutes on first speed. That 5 minutes allows the protein to absorb the water and to form that gluten that we require. And I want around about 75% gluten development in this dough. We are going to form more gluten as it sits, and we're going to form more gluten structure as we laminate it. So we can't overmix our dough at this point. If we do, by the time we then do laminate it, we'll overstretch the gluten and we'll break the structure within the dough. So it's important to slightly undermix your dough. My old croissant dough I've just cut into pieces, and I'll feed that in and when we go into second speed. If I was to add that now, this portion of the dough would destroy the other portion of the dough because this has already been mixed to full development. So let's start. 5 minutes on first speed. So it's had its 5 minutes on first speed. We're now going to let it mix for about 30 seconds, and then we'll slowly add our scrap dough. This is running at around about 54% moisture or water and milk combination, okay? And the extra butter that we put into it will soften it off ever so slightly. So the thinner you can stretch it, the more gluten you have in it, okay? Now, as you can see with this one, as I stretch it, it's breaking, so it needs a little bit more. It's a tight dough, but you can see that it's got good stretch and good bounce in it, which is an indication of gluten formation. Gliadine gives you the ability to stretch. Glutenin gives you ability to spring back. So we want the product to rise and stretch, but we also want it to hold its shape. That's why gluten is so important in these products. How do we know this is at 75%? We do a window test. So what we do is we grab a piece of dough and we just stretch it as far as we can and as thin as we can. This will tell us how much gluten is there. So the thinner I can get it and the clearer that it is, the more gluten that you have. So you can see that it's cloudy, but if you can see that mesh inside there, there's plenty of gluten there. It's got good bounce, so that's in good condition.